Okay, picture this. It's 3 a.m., you're exhausted, but you literally cannot stop watching that true crime documentary. Or maybe you've fallen down a massive internet rabbit hole about some unexplained event. Well, you're not alone. In this explainer, we're diving into a fundamental, almost uncontrollable quirk of human psychology: why humans absolutely love mysteries and the psychology of the unknown.
Seriously, why do we obsess over things we just don't understand? Think about it: the explosion of escape rooms, the absolute grip of a crazy cliffhanger at the end of a TV season. Why does our brain lock onto a mystery and just completely refuse to let go? What's actually happening in our heads when we face a question with no immediate answer? Well, as we're going to see, it's way more than just casual entertainment. It's a deeply wired biological response.
So let's look at section 1, the curiosity gap and missing information. This brings us to a really fascinating concept called the curiosity gap. It's defined as the psychological space between what we currently know and what we desperately want to know. You know that exact moment you realize a piece of a puzzle is missing? That gap opens up and it creates this powerful, almost physical itch you just have to scratch. Your focus narrows entirely, and your brain demands you bridge that divide. And here's the wild part: the brain absolutely abhors an information vacuum. Human biology treats a lack of answers not just as a tiny annoyance, but as a critical void. It literally overrides everything else in your mind until you can form a complete picture. Which leads us to section 2, evolution and pattern recognition as it relates to evolutionary survival. Our obsession with solving things, it is definitely not new. It's a massive evolutionary arc. Think about it. 200,000 years ago, recognizing an anomaly, like a weird rustling in the bushes, literally meant the difference between escaping a predator or becoming its dinner. Fast forward to 10,000 years ago, it meant tracking complex environmental patterns just to survive through agriculture. And today? Present day, we're taking those exact same hyper-tuned survival instincts and channeling them straight into puzzles, true crime, and entertainment. So, the big takeaway here is that our brains are basically hardwired pattern-matching machines. Pattern recognition is this cognitive ability to spot logical sequences or weird anomalies so we can predict future outcomes. We are constantly, subconsciously scanning our environment, just trying to make sense of the chaos. So, when a mystery comes along and disrupts a pattern, our brain basically goes into overdrive trying to fix it. Because of that deep evolutionary programming, an unsolved puzzle immediately flags in our brain as either a threat or a high-value target. If you can't figure out why a trail of footprints just suddenly stops, well, that's a threat. But if you figure out the hidden pattern of the seasons, that's a high-value target that gets you food. So your brain is treating modern mysteries with ancient survival-level urgency. Crazy, right? Okay, let's dive into section 3, the dopamine reward loop and chemical motivation. So how does the body keep us searching once we know we're actually safe? It's a highly effective 3-step biological cycle. Step 1, we encounter the unknown. Step 2, we begin the investigation, gathering clues and trying to form a pattern. And step 3, we get a massive dopamine hit upon discovery. Even just making a tiny connection gives us a rush. Our bodies are basically chemically bribing us to learn and solve. We usually think of dopamine as just the pleasure chemical, but in this context, it's the biological reward for uncovering new information. This is exactly why mysteries feel literally addictive. Our brains hand out these hits of feel-good neurotransmitters every single time we uncover a clue or make a breakthrough. We get completely hooked because our biology constantly rewards us for being curious. Now, for the final piece of our psychological investigation, section 4, the power of closure and ending the mystery. You see, we don't just collect facts for fun. We desperately crave what psychologists call cognitive closure. That's the intense psychological desire for a firm, solid answer, and a really strong aversion to ambiguity. Leaving things uncertain takes a massive toll on our cognitive load. We want a definitive end to the story just to relieve the mental stress of not knowing. And the contrast here is night and day. An unsolved mystery creates all this internal tension, a lingering fixation, that unrelenting cognitive itch we talked about. But a solved problem, that returns us to a nice, calm baseline. It delivers that final dopamine reward and lets our brain finally shift its focus somewhere else. It's a journey from psychological tension straight to biological relief. Ultimately, we crave closure to restore our cognitive balance. That's why we hunt down the endings of books, spend hours on puzzles, and binge an entire true crime series in one sitting.
The mystery knocked us off balance, and finding the answer is the absolute only way our brains will let us rest.
It's pretty fascinating to think about, isn't it? Which brings up a really good question. You sat through this entire breakdown, but why did you stay until the very end of this explainer? Well, it's because your brain literally needed the mystery solved. The second we asked that first question, your evolutionary instincts kicked in. The curiosity gap opened up, your pattern recognition engaged, and you needed the cognitive closure of this final moment to restore your mental balance. But I'll leave you with this final thought. What mysteries in your own life are you obsessed with solving right now? And which ones are you secretly keeping open just to keep that dopamine flowing?